Well, hello there. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and all of that. I think this is the first video I've had in a while. Last I left, we had the drawer pull. That's going to go on to the front of the box, and there's the drawer itself. And essentially what's going to happen is the drawer pull is going to come up on here. So that way when it gets pushed in, it hits the sides, acts as a stop, and I don't know if you'll see the detail if I even show it to you, but I can still push this in just a little bit farther. So if you can see my finger is getting caught, the drawer pull is going to stop that and make it so that it's flush with the front. And I can see a gap behind them. And actually, when I look in, I can see a bigger gap on one side than the other. So I may take a little bit off the back of the right side of the drawer, so that way it comes out even. And when I do that, there's a slight overhang here, so I may take a little bit off of this section. But I want to get the drawer pull ready. Right now it's dimensioned to size. And quite frankly, I do not know how long this is going to take me. So this may be a longer video than I originally anticipated. But I don't know exactly. I know it's going to go in either this orientation, or it could go that way. It could go that way. It could go in one of those fours, but either this side or this side is going to go against the drawer. And if you look carefully, it is not. I mean, the edges are square, but it's not a perfect square. It's a rectangle. So what's going to happen is this, that side's going to be on the drawer, and that's what we're going to use to grip onto and pull the drawer in and out. A drawer pull. I got to measure this so that way I get it to the right length before I start shaping it to how I want. And I don't know if you can see it on here. I'm looking. This side, one of the things I love about this maple piece that I have is it's got grain pattern that has not like a chatoyance. I'm going to try to capture it in the light. I think you can kind of see it there, the ripple effect that is in that wood. There you go, right there. I just think it's beautiful. It feels like glass. I mean, you can't feel the ripples, but you can clearly see them. But when I look at it, and again, I don't know how good the light is. This side is much darker than this side. This side is kind of a lighter whitish color. This is more of a brownish white. And I don't like that as much. That's my own personal preference. If I like that, great. So what I'm going to do is square off this end, and I doubt that it's pretty close, but it's not perfect. So let's fix that. I don't really need a plane this big for such a small piece, but this is just the plane I traditionally use to shoot the ends. It's big, it's heavy, it has a lot of mass, and it just makes it easier to get through. Because of how big it is, it's hard for the camera angle to see. I'm just taking the piece and I have it marked. And I don't know that that's going to be the back yet, but I want to keep this against the fence on both times, so that way it's so that way I know it's square in both directions. So right now I'm kind of feeding the blade forward because it's taking a very minimal cut. And that's kind of what we get. Can we see that in there? That's a pretty nice cut. I haven't checked this plane since I last sharpened it, so I don't know. I don't know if it's square and it. Can you see what I'm doing? The reason I'm looking off this way is that I have a light right up there, so I'm holding the square up to the light, and if I don't see any light coming in underneath it, I know that it's square in that direction. So now I know that is square. I can go ahead. Where did I put my marker? So I know that this side is square. I can go ahead and put a little half circle right there. That way I know that that's the square side. So now I've got to measure, and as I want this to go halfway through. Well, if it's two halves, it's equal to the side of one, and albeit, because every hand plane, this side and this side may not be the exact same, but they're going to be close enough. So what I am going to do, I don't have my knife ready. I am going to take this piece and I'm going to flush it to the end as best I can. And you know, I can use the square to do that. So I'm just kind of holding my square up and then butting it right up against it. Putting quite a bit of force down because I don't want it to move. And now I'm just going to go to that very inside corner and make a mark with my knife. And that should give me, since I went all the way to the one side and all the way to the end of the other, that should give me a nice square face. So I'm going to work off my reference edges, which we've talked about in the past, and I have it marked here and here, so my square is going to register against those faces the whole time. Put my knife in that mark, pushing the square right up against it. Light pass, heavier pass, and a heavy pass after that. Same thing. Perfect. So here we go. I use that face as my reference. As I flip over to do the other edge, I'm flipping the square as well, so that way it registers against my reference edge. Very important. I'm going to put my knife right in that mark, and then put the blade of my square up to it. And I kind of, no, that's not bad. I missed it by a hair, and that's my reference phase there. I don't know if you can tell. This is a double-bladed knife edge, so the bevel is on both sides, kind of like your regular kitchen knives. And so what that does is it means the bruising is going to go in, so I have to kind of angle my knife a little bit so that way it's going straight up and down. I'm going to make this cut in the vise. Take a sharp chisel and just give myself a little bit of a groove to ride the saw into. There it goes. Put that back before I cut myself. And I want a cross-cut saw. Hold on, there it goes. And it's hard to see because it's a light-colored wood, but I'm just going to let my saw ride in that. My hand is very loose, and I'm going to drop my hand. Okay, and you can hear the pitch difference in that. Boom, and that's, I'm going to save that little piece. Okay. So we're going to go back to the shooting board. I just keep this in here because the back is, yeah, this is square to here, so I could use that side as well to shoot, but I made it tapered so that way it locked in better. Not thinking full enough ahead that when I put it in the vise, only this side is capturing, so I have just a wedge piece that I put on this side, so that way the vise is catching here and here, and I don't know how much of a difference it makes, but it makes me feel better using it. So now, like I said, when I originally squared off this end, I had this edge again, so I'm going to flip it over and do the same here. And this time I should have lines to work to. And I got to say, I'm quite impressed with myself with how square I cut that in the first place. But let's just finish it off. And I took a little blowout on the back, but well, that's not going to be a big deal. So I got rid of the section that I don't like. So now when I put this on here, it should go halfway to one side, halfway to the other, and that's perfect. That's going to be what captures it on the and acts as a stop. I don't believe I need that anymore. Put that back here. Okay. All right. Get rid of this. So now we got the very important task of trying to figure out it's going to make a difference which side is the front, which side is the back, and that's just a matter of what my preference is and what I like. So I'm going to kind of compare it to what's here. Right off the bat, I like this right here. To me, I think that just looks really, really good. What I don't like, I don't know if you see how easily that's turning. That's telling me that I am not. Yeah, we're not perfectly flat. And it's such a small amount, I can probably clamp it out when I clamp it to the drawer. But let's just take care of that now. And I do that because I know there's a hump in the middle. So this piece kind of it starts low, goes up, and it goes like that. It's not bad, but it's there. So what I'm going to do is just work the middle, and you probably can't hear it, but I can see from just working the middle, I am not taking much, which means this part and this part is riding on the front and the back, leaving the blade exposed. So it's not really taking anything. So now I'm going to take a full shaving, and it's a small piece. There we go. Now I've got one continuous shaving coming off the back, and I think that will, yeah. So now that's making full contact. So that problem is resolved. What I am going to do, so that way I know for sure that I have this right every time, I'm going to put a little triangle here. Fairly prominent, so that way I know which side is the top. I know it's not going to go that way. I know it's not going to go that way. It's got to go this way. I'm going to get a sharper pencil because this one is a little dull. What I want to do is kind of give it a nice rounded shape. I want it just kind of look nice. This is pretty much all aesthetics at this point. So I'm going to take the width of it, and I'm going to draw that here, and I'm going to draw it here from the back. Looks good. I'm looking for the middle at this point. So where did I draw those lines? There we go. Looking for the middle. So I am just a shade under 10 inches. What is that? Maybe an eighth. So I'm going to go to 4. I'm going to go about a 16th under 5. So let me just make sure my math was right. Give me 4. No, I'm a little bit off there. Let's try that. Nope. My math was off in the wrong direction that time. I haven't even started smoking anything. All right. So I'm looking for. So I'm like 9. So 5.5 plus 14. 5.5. So that's going to go right there. 5.5 plus 14. Perfect. Where's my square? This part isn't absolutely necessary, but you know. Going to try to make it accurate here. I'm going to look for that line. I put my pencil down. I bring the square over. So now I have a center line. I'm going to take this, where I made that little crosshatch before. I'm going to bring that up to that center line. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. And there's no set or fast rules on this. This is just what I'm thinking is going to look good. All right, so we got a couple of things. Now I'm going to bring this line on the center. I'm going to bring this down because I'll show you what I'm going to do in a second. Okay. So I know I know it's going to go this way, which means this is the back. This is the back of it here. I'm just going to put a little mark so I know for sure that that's what I want to work on. And what I'm going to do now is make a little indentation, an impression, because I want to get my fingers in that on the pull. And this stuff is probably going to be hard to deal with, but I'm going to give it a shot. Depends on the grain. I'm going to just kind of wing it, and it looks like I'm going in the wrong direction, but I'm going mostly in the middle and extending with the spoke shave. You know, I'm going to move this a little bit farther down. There we go, because I was getting ready to hit my hand there. Oh, okay, that's actually working better. Just making a little indentation for my finger to grip. Huh, that looks pretty good. All right, so that way when this is on here, I am now going to have that little something to grab. You know what? I'm going to take a little bit more off, but I am going to focus. I'm going to focus on. Right now, I was trying to make it even, but I'm going to focus more on where's my pencil? On this side right here, because this, from what it feels like, I still have another 1/4 of an inch or so that I can go down. And I think I flipped it the different way. It's like stroking a cat. You want to do it with the grain. I'm focusing more in that center and then kind of elongating it. There we go. Let's take a scraper, and we'll just even that out a little bit. And I don't like the way that feels. Okay, so now when it's sitting on the drawer, you know, I like that a little bit better. It gives me a little bit more purchase on there. Spoke shave is very handy item to have. All right, so now I'm going to start taking that down to the lines that I drew on, and probably do that with the chisel. I'm a little hesitant with this grain because it's going to be a bit wiry. Okay, that actually went pretty well. I'm going to flip over because I want the bevel to kind of shoot everything up. If it was more of a straight gain, I would try to start from back here and just kind of, yeah, I just don't like the way that feels. That worries me doing it that way. So we're going to play with a little bit more set. I'm going to use this, and I think that's just going to be my safer alternative. At this point, I'm past the point of, yeah, I can't mess it up. So I'm just going to keep working down to my line here. Work down, work down. All right. And just from my angle, I can't really see it too well. All right. So I don't know if you can see, I still have a little bit more on top of the edge. So let's come down here. Okay. So what we have is I'm just above my pencil line. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And you know, this time I think I'm just going to go right to the plane. Normally I'd want to take a little bit more off with the chisel. I don't really trust the grain. So I don't want to I don't really want to force it, and I could also go back to the spoke shave. I'm gonna give it a little bit more set. far less likely to blow out that way. And you know what, I'm already, that actually, that did it. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put this one away. That's got, all the chisels are sharp. This one just has a much smaller mouth on it, so it just gives me a finer cut. And you know, I still have a little bit more to take down here. Okay, let's see how we're looking. All right, so now we have, that's the shape of it. So I'm just kind of smooth it out a little bit. Come over that hump. All right. Kind of give it a nice kind of run into each other on both sides. And let's see how we're looking. Okay, you know what? The hump is a little bit high on this side, so I'm just going to do a little bit to take that down. Okie dokie. And yeah, I like the way that that looks. Let's see how it looks on here. All right. You know, another shaving or two. I just want to bring the center. I think the high point is still just off the center a little bit, and it's getting harder to grip because I took that little finger indentation out. Okie dokie. Let's see how we did. All right, I like that. All right, so to me, that is still a little bit clunky. Let's take care of that. I'm going to take my pencil, put that here. It's going to give me something to work off of. And I don't really have anything in mind here. I'm just going to kind of fair this edge. This is a rasp, a Shinto rasp. It's kind of a saw edge. And all I'm doing is just kind of giving it a little, you know, that's, I don't know how to put that, just kind of rounding it over a little bit. Like the way that looks. It's a little too aggressive for the fine work, so that's where the file comes in. I'm going to start as flat as I can and just give it a nice sweep. And I'm going to take off the edges. I'm going to be pretty careful not to hit that back edge because that's what's going to hit the actual item, and I want that to be as flat as possible. But we're still going to just round over the edges, the corners, and let's see that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I took off a bit of the corner, but nothing I can't fix later. Okay, so that's going to go on there like that. So we have that corner. So let's make sure we got the right edge. Yep, we're gonna do this one. And same thing. So I'm going to go with that, and I'm kind of, the pencil's there because it takes away some of the vibration. It's higher up, makes it a lot more comfortable, because if I was to put it down, I could do the same thing by putting it down like this, but now I'm working over it. This just gives me a little something to push off of. So I'm going kind of at a 45, taking off the corner, and then I'm going to start the sweep. And here I'm just going by what looks right. I'm trying to keep this edge as square as possible, so that way it does look better. Gotta take off those edges, kind of round them in. Okay. All right. So now we have, this is going to go on here, like that. Nope, am I right? Yeah, it's going on like that. You know what? I also kind of run around it. Kind of run around it that way as well. I think that would look pretty good. So we'll do the same thing. That one was unexpected, but I just think it's going to look better this way. Yeah, I kind of like the way that looks. So I'm going to do the same one. Here we go. And again, just repeat. Okay, this was the front here. Yeah, I do like the way that looks. I'm just going to take off. I'm just going to kind of take off that hard corner. Make those two planes kind of come into each other a little bit. Not really, you know, as you can see, I'm not really measuring anything. I'm just going by what I think looks good. All right, again, so that's the top of the drawer. And it's going to go on like this. And I do want this centered. So we're gonna use a little trick here. I'm going to sharpen up my pencil. This is it's kind of like a plane made specifically for pencil. So I'm just going to give myself a sharpened edge. Not quite there yet. All right, that should do it. All right, so what I'm going to do, I can eyeball it. Nothing wrong with that. I'm going to put this flush at the, do it that way because that's where the finger hole was. I'm going to put it flush at the bottom, and I'm going by the feel of my fingers here. I'm going to put that flush at the bottom, and then I'm going to measure. And I've got exactly 1.5 inches. So I'm taking that. So now I want to divide that in half. So if I divide 1.5 by half, that's what, 3/4. So if I go 3/4 from the bottom, and I do 3/4 from the top, between that line and that line, I should, boom, fit this, and it will, you know, it goes right in there. So I know that 3/4. If I take 3/4, I could also take this, set it to 3/4. Now that I know that distance, I'm going to put this up. Here's the way it's going to go on. And I can set that there. You know, let's put this in the vise. All right, so that's the top. This is going to go on like this. So I can put that there, and then it should theoretically match here and here, which it does. So I know that is in the center. And the reason I wanted a sharpened pencil is for this step right here. I'm just going to very lightly draw a line. And then I'm going to put just a few X's underneath it. So that way I know that when the time comes, that's where I'm going to put. When I glue up, I'm going to put my my piece flush up against that line, and that way I know I'm in there. I'm going to also be very careful when I'm gluing up to make sure there's an equal overhang on the edges here, so that way that captures that, and it just looks symmetrical. Before I do that, I'm looking here as I'm looking at the front. I'm going to take the front edges off. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do that. So let's go back to the spoke shave. I set it a little heavier before. Let's undo that. All right. So make sure I got the right edge. So that's the front. It's a bit of a hard corner there. So I'm going to do what I can to take away the corner. Just not much. I just want a little bit of a round on it. And I want to do that. Yes, the same thing. Same thing on this side. Using that relaxed muscle to help me out. And right now it's a very light cut. I can see it. I can feel it, but I'm gonna set my blade a little bit deeper. There it goes. You can probably see that better now. And pretty much I'm just taking 45 and then I'm dropping my hand and then coming back. You know what? Let's make that a little bit more pronounced. And yeah, I think that gives it a little something. So again, I want to make sure I'm on the right edges. You know what we're gonna do. I know this edge and this edge I want to touch. Okay. All right. And is it even? I got right in this middle here. I'm gonna. All right. Gonna take my scraper again. Gonna get rid of the pencil marks I had made, because now, because of that finger hole, there's only really one way this can get attached now. And all right, 180 grit sandpaper. I cut a little slit in it so that way I can kind of fold it in such a way that now I have that piece which is manageable and no grit is touching any other grit. I'm going to stay away from sanding the back because I know that goes nicely on the drawer front. But I'm just going to use this to kind of get rid of all pencil marks, get rid of, keep those rounds pretty nice. And the benefit of hand tool woodworking is, this is all the sanding I do. I don't have to, when I finish, that's another story all in itself. That will require its own sanding. Stand away from the back. Let's get this edge up here. Okay, right there's a little bit of a dip. I'm going to give it a little extra time on that. All right. Take away that hard corner. And that is looking pretty good. And I'm ready to glue up at this point. I would do that, except for the glue is inside, because it gets cold out here. It's the only reason I haven't been out in a while, is that it's just been too cold. And so the glue freezes, and I don't want that, so I keep the glue inside. I do not have it on me right now, so I may come back later today and do that. This is, what I'm going to do right in the finger hole. Okay. There. So what did it take? About 30 minutes. That's my handle. That will be, you know, that's just going to be glued onto here like this. And then the drawer will be completely finished. We got to work on the drawer runners next. Work on the inside. So we're going to have drawer runners on the inside. We're going to put a floor in there. So we'll need a piece that fits perfectly inside. Before making the lid, which will be its own step, we'll hinge the lid. But yeah, that was making the handle. Thanks for sticking around for this long and watching, and I will talk to you soon.